This is the Clark Connection Podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration and power. We'll dive deep into the stories and strategies that ignite personal growth and entrepreneurial fire. Join us as we empower you to take control, level up your leadership, and build the life you deserve. Get ready to rise, to thrive, and to finally become the leader of your own destiny. Let's go.
Welcome to the Clark Connection Podcast. So good to have you on here. Great to be back with you guys. I know it took a little bit of a break. I had a lot of stuff going on, that just a ton of stuff between work, motocross with my kids, golf, you name it, we had it. That grandfather passed away. I know I did that the episode dedicated just to him. And so yeah, there's been a lot going on, but it is great to be back with you. And before we get going, just want to give a quick shout out to my sponsors. We got Bobbie with the Comfy Quest LLC, Wayne with 7K Metals, and Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services. And so look, guys, they got several great episodes coming up. So you want to make sure that you are liked, subscribed, following, got those notifications on, because you do not want to miss out on what we have going on and what's coming forward. So next, after this episode, that will be with Adam, who is my producer as well as my podcast coach. And we're going to talk about entrepreneurship and, just how to get a podcast started, how he ended up in his role as an entrepreneur. Excellent episode. And then we got Jeremy coming on, who is a multiple business owner. He talks about leadership within a team and how to lead teams, and then failing forward. I've known Jeremy several years now and did not know some of the struggles that he went through. So it was really great. Then he's going to share that with. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss that one. And then that also will have Corey, who is a firefighter and a fire safety instructor. And we talk about leading a team as well as the importance of fire safety. And he brings up a lot of great points in this one that I would have never thought of. So guys, again, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you're following the show, because you do not want to miss out on this. And then I've got several people that we're lining up to make sure our schedules work, to get these episodes recorded and get it out to you, because so many people have such great stories to share and how they're using leadership and personal development to help other people, because that's why we do what we do here at the Clark Connection Podcast. It's all about reaching you in the community and then the world, A, to become better leaders, B, to work on your personal development and growth, because that's the most important person that you lead every single day. But then third, I love talking about entrepreneurs and small business owners, and then bringing in other leaders as well. And so if you haven't done that yet, make sure you go like and subscribe, because you don't want to miss out on Adam, Jeremy, or Corey. And then go back and check out the rest. There have been several great other guests on the show, as well as several great episodes. I know episodes 4 and 8 are probably my personal 2 favorite that I've done on my own. But there's so much good stuff. Go ahead and go look back, go see, find out what's your favorite. Or if you've been keeping up with it, drop that right down in the comments right there. Go ahead and say, hey, this was my favorite episode so far. Let me know. But what I wanted to get to as we're coming back in, and as we're talking about what's been going on. I said I took a small break. I just had to. There was just so much going on with life in general. That I went through about the first half of July, and then just realized there was just so much going on. But I want to talk about the purpose of resetting and taking that time to get back with yourself, to really connect and get to your roots, and figuring out, who am I and what am I about? And And so when I talk about it, July was probably one of the best months for me professionally, and one of the worst months for me personally. Best because I mean we broke some records at work. We set some new high enrollment goals. We brought in more money than we had brought in previous years and months. And as far as we've been keeping records, it was the highest month we've had that I could go back and find since 2010. And so a lot of great things going on professionally for me. We're rock and rolling, helping people change their lives. But then it was, one of the worst for me in that, my grandfather had just passed away, who was one of my mentors, a lifelong mentor. And so, I mean, it took me, he passed right at the beginning of July, and it took me about halfway through July to even start just going like, oh, wow, this is real. This is going on. And so that was kind of what was going on. And I mean, things were going fast for me in the month of July. And most of the time, I'll tell you, fast is good. But it got to where it was just so much that I couldn't handle all the loads of everything. Because we were making record numbers and record sales and all this other stuff, I was working 12-hour days, 12 plus hours. So Monday through Friday, 12 plus hours, it was going down because there was just so much great stuff that we were doing. And at the time, I was still grieving the loss of my grandfather. Let's see. On top of, we were doing, I've told y'all before, my boys are in motocross. My boys are in the band. They're into golf. And then on top of that, I had my podcast and my training and my coaching that I'm doing as well. So it was just, in total, I was doing close to 20-hour days every single day, 7 days a week. And that is not good. You can go back to the beginning of time. It talks about it in the Bible. God worked 6 days, and then he took the seventh day to rest. And so I was not doing any of that. And so at that point, I hit the point about halfway through July that I started saying, something's got to give. I can't keep doing what I'm doing. And so I had to pick a few things, things that ended up taking the back seat. Well, the podcast. You guys, I had to stop doing what I was doing. It just became too much. And that's one of the beautiful things, like going, when the next week in the episode with Adam, we talk about what all is involved in creating a podcast. Stuff that you wouldn't even think about that you have to do in order to produce a 30 to 60 minute clip. It's a lot of work and a lot of effort that goes into it. And then you want to make sure that you're producing great content. And so I knew I wasn't going to be able to give you guys my best. So there was no reason. So stuff that had to give, which ended up becoming, I wasn't going to the golf stuff and the motocross stuff and even pulled back on my coaching and training. And so you had to, something just had to give. But I learned a lot throughout this, as you're going through and as you're creating these experiences in this time. You don't really fail unless you quit. So that's one thing that I believe. Failure isn't final unless you quit. If you quit, then you failed. And so I was able to look, think of it kind of like Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison is very famous for being an inventor, but then one of his most famous quotes is it took close to 1,000 tries before he finally created the light bulb. And when they asked him about it, the other failures, he said, no, I just found 1,000 other ways not to do it. And that's how we have to look at this. And any time you're going through a rough patch or a trial, anything like that, always be asking and looking, what am I supposed to be learning during this time? And so that was one that really helped me a couple of weeks ago, or really last week, when I was talking with one of my, well, I guess whenever I recorded this, it was last week, but when I was talking to one of my mentors, I was just talking to him, I was like, man, Andre, I got blah, 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 and this, and wah, 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 wah. And he was like, Aaron, Are you learning to praise God through this? Are you learning to, what's the lesson you're supposed to be learning? What are you out there and learning? Because I can tell you're on the verge of doing something great. But what are you learning? What are you supposed to be learning through this? That way you can go and help other people with this. And it kind of hit me then, I'm not enjoying the struggle. It's something that we all talk about, as I tell y'all all the time, I'm a recovering football coach. It was during those tough times. It's when you're hitting that last rep that you're struggling on the bench press that you're getting stronger. It's when you're so tired that you're not sure if you can take another step forward and keep running that mile. That's when you're stretching and growing. Stretching and growing is uncomfortable. Just right now, if you're not used to stretching, if you were to stand up and then bend over and touch your toes, keep your legs straight, you're going to feel some pain and discomfort, because if you haven't done it in a while, it can be very uncomfortable. But it's being able to learn and take away things throughout all of this, okay? And so you have to be able to step back and reflect. So when you're getting it handed to you, when things aren't going the right way, or the way that you think they should be going, because chances are they're going the right way, but it's not the way that you think it should be going. Remember, God's timing is way more better than our timing. Now, we don't always think of it like that, but it is. And so take the second back and start looking and saying, what am I doing that's right now? What am I doing that's wrong right now? And really, they'd consider, what am I doing during that? And then how do I make that better? And so as I was looking back and during this time, can I continue to do the podcast and the coaching and the director of admissions role? Can I continue doing all of these different things that I love doing so much? Well, I also learned that there's going to be seasons of times where I'm going to have to withdraw from some of the things. So, things that as I started looking at to reflect on with the podcast, that was, what? If historically July and August are really big months for us at Delta College, I probably need to take a break from July through September, pick back up in Labor Day. Which is what I started doing. I picked back up after Labor Day. But then looking forward, I said, all right, where are other times that life just gets really busy that I may not be able to do all of this all the time? And so I already know that I'm going to be taking a break in the month of December and then picking back up in January. Those are things that I've started looking at, is how do I plan ahead? Because I wasn't looking very far ahead at that time. That stuff I wasn't doing, the air quotes, right. But I learned from it. It's going to make me better. But the thing is, you can do the exact same thing with everything you go on. And so you always got to be constantly looking and checking and reevaluating. Where am I at? What's going to be better? And with taking that step back and getting the reset, it's right that it's habit number 7 in the 7 habits of highly effective people. They sharpen the saw. Sharpening the saw is talking about taking the time to make sure you make yourself better. And in the book, Stephen Covey tells this great story about a guy. There is a tree chopping competition. And so they're going to see who's going to chop down this big old tree. And so they send 2 guys off into the woods. Now the first guy one guy goes to the left, the other guy goes to the right, and they go find a big old tree that's been picked out for them. And I tell you, the guy that went to the left, you hear chop, chop, whack, whack, whack. And he is just going to town. He is just getting after it. You hear whack, whack, whack. But if you listen over to the right side, you hear whack. And then you don't hear anything for a little while. And then you hear whack. And you don't hear anything for a little while. And then you hear whack, and you don't hear anything. And all the while, the guy that's on the left side, he is just going at it. You just hear, and so the crowd knows, hey, that guy on the left is going to win. He is going to whoop him. Well, all of a sudden, they hear timber coming from the right. And so they all go They all go run into the forest, and they look over to find the guy on the left. They're like, there's no way we heard that right. And they see him. He's exhausted over there, and he's still just swinging away, trying to chop down this tree. I'm like, huh. And so they then go run over. Well, we got to find the guy that went to the right. They went and found him. And he's sitting over there. Now, he's a little tired, but I mean, he's good to go. And they asked him, said, how were you able to chop the tree down before the other guy? He's been over there steadily working, and you're over here not doing but 1 or 2 hits a minute. And he said, well, I understood the importance of making sure the saw was sharp. And so I would take a hit, and I would reevaluate, sharpen my saw. Make another hit, reevaluate, sharpen my saw. Take another hit, reevaluate, sharpen my saw. And so he went in with a plan, and able to do that, he was able to achieve so much more than the other guy who's sitting over there whacking away with a dull saw. He's got a dull axe just swinging and swinging and swinging and swinging and swinging. And that's where I was. But I believe there's that many more people who are listening to this, that you're the exact same way. You're just sitting there and you are just whacking and whacking and whacking and hitting and going and going and going and doing 20 hours a day, 24 hours a day, 48 hours without sleep. Going on and not taking care of your body, not working out, not exercising, not meditating, not doing any of those 7 things that I talk about, the seven keys to personal development. Not doing any of that stuff and making sure that you get the correct amount of rest. And guys, we're all guilty of it. But we all have to take the time to do that reset, to make sure that we're taking care of the best thing that we have going for us, which is ourselves. That yourself is the best thing you have going for you. So you gotta make sure that you take care of that. And so, in closing, guys, over the past 2 months, I've received you guys reaching out have just been awesome. You've been amazing. You've been wonderful. I can't begin to thank you enough. Just for the amount of just love that you guys have given me, that you show me. And look, I mean, the encouragement really helped. I mean, I was really, 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 really down. And guys, that was tough. That was tough. But I mean, I didn't know until just now just how much of an impact that the Clark Connection podcast was happening. But you guys reaching out and saying, hey man, when's the next one coming out? When's this? It looks like it's going great. We love seeing all this stuff. You guys encouraging me through that time. And you may not even known that it was going on, but the encouragement and the love that I got, that was just awesome. And so whenever you have those dark days, guys, and you wonder if you're going to be missed or what have you, just know that you are loved and you will be missed. That there is nothing so dark that you can't come out of it. And I find we as human beings don't always show the appreciation that we really want to show. We're not really good at that. But know that people do love you. They do care for you. They do support you. They want to see what's best for you and from you. And so make sure that when you are going through those times where things are wrong or bad, keep a couple of things in mind. You got to get back to your basics. Get back down to the basics, to the things that got you started and going, that you were doing right. Next, press pause. Take that time to reflect and look back. What am I doing well? What am I doing? Where are my areas of improvement? And then how do I make things get better? And then reach out and lean to those that you're closest to, that love you, that want to see success for you, your friends. That if you don't have a mentor, make sure you got a mentor. Make sure that you have all of these different things available to you, because I promise you it will make the difference, even though you don't think that things are going to be going the right way. And so, guys, if you're looking for any type of leadership or personal growth training for yourself or your team or your event, reach out to me. I'd love to be able to help you on your journey and inspire you. That all of my contact information is listed below. And remember, you don't need to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So keep leading, keep growing, and keep innovating. Until next time, stay connected and inspired, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Clark Connection Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Clark Connection Podcast, where my goal is to add value to you. Make sure you like and follow the show. You can also connect with me via my website, coachaclark.com, or on all socials at coach_A_Clark. The links are in the description. Huge thanks to my sponsors, Wayne with 7K Metal Associates, Bobbie at A Comfy Quest LLC, and Andrew at Automate Integrate Professional Services. We look forward to bringing you more great content. See you next week.